Hey, this is Chris from Financial Modeling Education, and in today's video, I'm going to talk about EBITDA. I'm not really going to talk about what it is, but more importantly, why it is built that way. So I think we're all pretty familiar with the abbreviation itself. EBITDA is earnings before interest, taxes, and depreciation and amortization. But why is it built that way? So what we're trying to do here is we're trying to get a normalized profitability or operating cash flow of this company to make it comparable to other businesses. And so in order to do that, we have to take the net income and we have to add back a handful of things to sort of neutralize the income statement or neutralize that structure to get it to something we can compare to other companies. And so the first thing we're going to add back is the depreciation and the amortization. One is because they're non-cash, but two is really because it neutralizes the depreciation policies or the accounting policies of the company. They could use accelerated depreciation or straight line, and so as we strip those out, we neutralize that accounting policy. And then for interest, some companies may not have any debt at all. And so what you're trying to do is strip out the impact of having debt and getting rid of the interest expense because a company may be acquired with all equity. So you're bringing it back to an all equity or a debt neutral structure. And then lastly, you're going to add back the taxes because you're basically taking out the corporate tax structure. So there's a lot of structures that are pass-through entities like sole proprietorships or S corps, and then there's also a C corp, which is not a pass-through entity, and the taxes are going to be sitting on the income statement. So you want to add back that tax expense on a C corp so you can strip it out so it's basically comparable to a pass-through entity. So that's why we include all of these things. We're basically trying to strip out things that can be company specific so that we can make it as neutral as possible so it's comparable to other companies. And so here I have a quick view of a financial model and just how I might do that. So here's the net income from my income statement, but then down here I have an EBITDA schedule, and I call it EBITDA as defined because it's the literal definition of EBITDA. So I'll be taking my earnings, which is the net income, and then just adding back things from the income statement. The first is the interest. I just pull it right here, interest expense, because again, I want to show what would the company look like if it didn't have any debt on it. So I add back that interest expense, and then next I add back the tax. Again, I'm just pulling this directly from my income statement. Here's the income tax expense. I want to show what this might look like if this was a pass-through entity or if it didn't have an income tax expense on its books. So this is most likely a C Corp. And then lastly, we have depreciation and amortization. This company doesn't have any amort, that's fine, but I'm just pulling back depreciation from the income statement. Same idea. One, it's a non-cash expense, so this helps me get an approximation of the company's operating cash flow. But two, it helps me neutralize the accounting policies of the company. Again, if something was accelerated versus straight line. So I add that back here. I get what's called my definitional adjustments. So I'm showing what am I adding back to my earnings, right? 310 of net income plus 312 of adjustments is going to get me 623 of EBITDA as defined, that literal definition. And so then over a trailing 12-month period, sometimes called LTM for last 12 months or TTM for trailing 12 months, that shows me that I have about 8 million of EBITDA, even though the trailing 12-month net income figure would be different. So that's why we call EBITDA what it is, or that's why we include those instances, the interest, the tax, depreciation, and amortization. We are trying to show what the business would look like, sort of neutralized for some of its internal policies so that we can compare it to other companies. So thanks so much for watching. That's it for this one. I'll see you in the next one.